Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the weekend edition. Uh, from from in a rare occurrence here that I might not have anybody to chat with tonight. Everybody seems to be pretty busy right now. You know, even with the promise of giving people a chance to plug their latest books and stuff, it still didn't seem to entice them enough. So maybe we'll better next week. But anyways, we'll wait a few minutes to give people a chance to drop in. So, anyways, I was hoping because I know there's a couple of people who are having who are basically have recently launched their campaigns. Double Fly and Momentum, aka Rex Christian, did yesterday, and then of course Chris Tomolovich is doing his latest a seventh issue of the Great Cyclopean. I was hoping somebody might want to come on and promote, but I didn't hear back from the Tomoloviches and Rex. He's pretty much entitled as he's been running rampant, running ragged, all weekend. So anyways, of course, if you guys, for those of you who caught Friday's show, I had Apex on with me. We were talking. We were. Oh, there's somebody. Oh, device not connected though. Well, hopefully, so Rick just popped in, but the thing is, it's saying that his device is not connected. So um, hopefully I'll be able to get that fixed in a moment here. Send him a message on. Back yet? Oh, hey Wayne, and that is wacky tonight. Well, I think well, I don't know if that's the problem as much. I know here in California we have some rainy weather going on. Um, Let me see. Huh, um, and I know in Rick's case, I think part of it is because actually, um, well, I don't know if it's a permanent move, but he basically took a trip out to British Columbia. So, from where he was in Ontario in Toronto. So, yeah, now he just fade out. So, let's see. So if you haven't already, of course, you can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best abilities. So let's see. Anyways, as I said, we're just waiting for people to show up here. Oh, looks like we have a few more people watching at least. So, let's see. Well, we do have some people in here. So, you know what I'm going to do? Normally, I wouldn't do this, but in light of the fact that we don't have any other people to chat with at this point, I am going to go ahead and put the StreamYard link up. And if anybody wants to come into the studio, it's going to be one of those rare occasions where I'm just going to open it up for everybody. So if you want to come in and be part of the conversation, if you want to get in on the conversation and actually come into the studio and talk it up with me, we'll go over some anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling. I'll go ahead and let you guys, we can hang out and talk it up a bit. So, anyways, so basically the other night I had Apex on. He was with me as we were going over comics that went on sale from comics that went on sale from Lev Gleason, Silver Streak Volume 1, Issue 3. We, of course, read up on Silver Streak, Ace Powers, School Days, Bill Wayne, the Texas Terror. Let's see, Planet Patrol, Dickie Dean Boy Inventor. So quite an eclectic group of stories went over. Pretty interesting stuff. Since this is around the wartime, they had the idea of had an invention that you use sound waves to track down criminals, and that was a pretty interesting story. In the Silver Streak story, we had a giant fly taking out race cars. School Days, we got a pretty funny anthropomorphic story about. No, that's not what I was trying to do there. Oops. Anyways, had a pretty interesting anthropomorphic story about an elephant who wasn't talking to one of his schoolmates, so he sends a blank letter to her. That was funny. So anyways, so hopefully everybody's having a good evening tonight. As I said, if anybody, I decided to open up the studio tonight for anybody who wants to come in, since Hence, most of my usual guests are busy right now. Let's see. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. Find adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplane. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. And it's a danger out to find you. Grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. And it's a danger out to find you. Grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. And it's a danger out to find you when you grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Hmm. Hmm. Anyways, let's see. Just people just are just too busy to come and hang out. uh, and there's one more thing here. Anyways, let me see. Well, actually, probably check the live here. Yeah, rec must be finished there. Alright, it looks like, wow. 15 minutes in and nobody's still here. Oh. Oh, again. Well, Rick's trying again here. Private chat. Okay, well, at least he's saying that you're. Anyways, we're just waiting. We're just waiting for people to show up. um. Hopefully, Rick can get the whatever technical issues he's dealing with. Well, we'll have at least somebody in here. Anyways, what shall we do here then? And we're waiting for people, and it would appear. We're 20 minutes into this and still haven't done much of anything. Let me go see some stuff here. If nothing else, I might just start sniping. Might start sniping some people. Huh. Well, anyways, what shall we do? Yeah. Hmm. Well, let's see. Well, at this point, I might just go an hour. I'm gonna just give it. We'll just give it another few minutes. That if we don't have anybody here in the next 10 minutes, I might just start to wrap things up early tonight. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. Find adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears. And with the fact that there were times this week that it didn't seem like there was much going on in the way of take about something. Yeah, I know. Again, Rick, I'm just trying to think because I was just looking around. See, I was thinking possibly of striking some people, but there's nothing really that I'm overly interested in there, you know. And I don't want to like sit there and just. I don't want to highlight like a lot of the drama streams, which is basically what the trash casts have basically become. Um, yeah, and I figured, let's see. Let's see. Well, this past week, one of the things I did since there wasn't much in the way of it's kind of funny. I mentioned this to Apex the other night too. The past couple weeks, there hadn't been a whole lot of news items going on. So what I decided to do, of course, is I did some profile pieces on a couple of studios and a voice actor. I talked a little bit about Jack Mercer, who was the second voice of Popeye, probably and second and longest reigning voice of Popeye, mind you. Taking over Billy Costello in 1935 and going all the way up through I believe 1980, where he did the animated opening for the live action Popeye movie starring Robin Williams. And of course, we also went over the history of Walter Lantz Productions as well as Screen Gem Animation. Talk a little bit about those two companies. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Again, and people can ask me questions too. I mean, if anything here, anything you guys want to ask me about, maybe you might want to find out some trivia about something. I can also answer questions too. Let's see. Today is 2024, of course. So let's see. Well, let's see. For me, I'm also in my own viewings. Of course, I've been watching like One Piece, Martin Mystery. Oh yeah, I know Toonami. And not everybody's watching Toonami as much anymore, but on Toonami, of course, they just I think it was about a week or so ago, they premiered Licorice Recoil, which looks pretty good. And then next week, or I guess this coming Saturday night, Sunday morning, they're going to be debuting Ninja Kamui. They're going to be doing the English dub version of the episode at midnight, and then repeat doing the English subbed version with Japanese audio and English subtitles. At 3:30, so or 2:30, I believe. That's, I think, for those of you might look forward to that. Let's see now. All right. Well, it's like 27 minutes here. It looks like nobody wants to. It looks like with the exception, of course, of Rick, if he wasn't having his technical issues, nobody really wants to come hang. So I think I'll just start to wrap up here early tonight, as a word, just because of the fact. Again, unless you guys have stuff you want to ask me about, you guys can always ask me stuff from the chat, and I can. There's Diana. Hey, Diana. I know I sent you the link earlier to it, and also the links up there if you want to come to the studio and promote the Great Cyclopean. We can talk about that. What is the topic for tonight? Well, usually on these Sunday shows, Diana, it's usually an open mic situation. We usually will just talk about whatever. A lot of times, though, since so we usually run out of stuff to talk about quickly, I usually will have a backup article usually ready. But I was thinking, in the hopes of if I could get you and Chris and anybody else, and I was thinking since you and Chris and Rex all had some recent launches, if you guys wanted to come into the studio and talk about your projects, we want to come into the studio and we can, talk about your project. We can talk about the Great Cyclopean and stuff like that. But normally on Sundays, that's our panel. This is our panel show. And usually, it's an open mic situation. We'll just talk about whatever. But as one, there hasn't been a whole lot going on in the world of Nietzsche the last couple of weeks, and also, Chris is busy working on stuff, and he is not available. I thought I would swing by and say, well, hello, thank you for that, at least. As I said, if you wanted to hop into the studio here, and then we just start talking about whatever, whether you want to talk about the Great Cyclopean, or we can talk about other stuff going on in the world of anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling, what have you. There she is. Oh, oh wow! All right, nothing happened there. All right, I thought it was just Rick, but apparently Diana's having some problems too. Try. I'm gonna just. Uh, uh, yeah. Yeah. You might want to try to go out and come back in, Dan. I don't know what's going on here tonight. Why this is happening? There you are. Rick was. I thought it was just Rick because he was having problems earlier too tonight. But I figured it might have had something to do with the move. But
Mm-hmm.
what? Do you have any idea what happened with you?
I have no idea. My laptop just went dark, like black. I'm like, what is going on? Let me see. All right, I think here we go. All right. Hey there. I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right. Cool
So
beans.
how's your Sunday today, Diana?
My Sunday has been quite busy. I have cleaned, I have done laundry, I have done grocery shopping, I have played with my dogs, I have walked my dogs, I have made dinner, and I have been working on the website for Hero Shack. So I have been super busy, but I just sat down and I saw that you had shared the link, and I'm like, you know what? I've got a few minutes. I can pop in and at least say hi and see what's going on. And oftentimes I don't have this time, but because I'm usually in bed by like 9:30, 10. I'm a sleepyhead, but I get up at 6, so it makes it
Well, yeah.
crazy.
Well, the thing is, on Sundays we start an hour earlier than like Mondays through Fridays. I start at 6, but then on Sundays I start an hour earlier. Basically, I took over the show, the slot from RJ. This is
Ah,
essentially was his old show that I just took over and just
mhm.
brought it to my channel since he was getting busy and stuff like that. I wanted to try to do the panel show myself and get
Right.
people to come on. Of course, it'd be nice to have more like 4 or 5 people to have a discussion with, but 2 or 3 is good too. However many we can get in and get a good conversation going.
Well, it's a
Um,
busy night with a lot of streams going on. So you're up against unfortunately, a lot of bigger names that have like, oh my gosh, so many people watching. And even Chris and I can't figure out how to break that barrier to get more people to watch our show. But at any rate, I am here, and
yeah.
we're doing very well. The Great Cyclopean issue 7 is up in funding at Fund My Comic.
All right.
We have $1,000 goal. I think we're at 7 something now, so we're almost within reach. We do have another month, I think a month and a half left of of funding. So hopefully we will reach our goal and get our backers their books.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
it's kind of funny because just like in Chris's life, he always seems to be ahead of the game. So in the Great Cyclopean issue 7, there is a new character called I equals sum.
Oh yeah, isn't that his kind of parody character of?
It is a very loving parody character for Isom. Now, just to take it back a couple of steps, we did back Eric's book. We did get his book, and Chris read it, and actually, didn't have any big concerns with Eric until all of this drama with Ethan and everybody else under the sun breaking out, and then we started looking at the actual person of Eric July, and we're like, yeah, I don't know. But at any rate, I equals some had already been created, was already in the book. And we even toyed with the idea of like, should we take them out? And I'm like, no, I mean, it's not a bad thing. We're not making fun of the July's character there.
Mhm.
It's more of a compliment. Like we thought it was a pretty cool character. So yeah, so in the Great Cyclopean 7, there is that new character, I equals some, and he's super funny. He comes in and he's a retired superhero, which is kind of interesting because he has been out of the superhero market for
Mhm.
quite some time because he was so powerful that he was doing way too much damage. And so, he had to retire.
Hmm.
Uh, at any rate,
Well, that's kind of this thing with Superman. A lot of times, it's particularly in the later, in the
mhm,
more recent years, they've talked about how Superman was worried that his power was just with his powers continuing to grow, he was going to get too powerful to where he couldn't control them at some point. Yeah, and
ex-
Rick's trying to get in again too, but apparently his device is still not
oh
letting
man,
him in.
isn't he traveling though? I think,
Yeah,
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 he might not have enough internet space to get in there.
yeah.
Is what I'm thinking,
That's what I'm thinking because I know he traveled cross country. That might have been it.
right?
And Rick has been my most faithful co-host or my most faithful co-host on the Sunday shows. With metal, up until recently being the second most faithful in terms of getting people to come on Sundays. Um, so I was like trying to run as I said, I was trying to run like this is I want this to be more of a panel show, like because I could do it like I do it Monday to Thursday, and do it like the Niche newscast where I'm just reading articles and giving my commentary on them. But
Uh-huh.
then that'd be a little much. Plus, I want to have the interaction with people and getting these conversations going.
Right,
So
right.
and I know I didn't get a chance to say this earlier, but if you want to share the link to either the Fund My Comic site or your website or any links you want to promote or whatever, feel free to do so.
All right, let me put that in the chat. Hold on a second.
Mhm.
Here we go. So that is the link to the actual campaign. And basically, the whole premise to the Great Cyclopean, as you all know, we're on our seventh issue.
Mhm.
Um, it's an interesting story. It is about a superhero that has some disabilities, for a lack of a better word, where he only has one eye. He can't hear, obviously, his no ears. He doesn't speak. He does use some sign language. And he's got like a heart of gold. So the government, comes in,
Yeah.
rescues this baby, the whole 9 yards. He grows up in a government camp.
Um, Excuse me for just one quick moment here, and I just want to. Rick is saying the browsers don't want to allow my mic or a camera for streaming. Well, hopefully you can get that fixed soon, Rick. Maybe not this week, but hopefully soon. But just hang out if you can't. If you can't get in at some point, that's fine. But I look forward to you getting in here as soon as you can, whether that's tonight or next week or what have you. So, but I hope we'll get you in here soon again. Anyways, just wanted to address that real quick, Diana. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. But
That's okay. No worries. Anyways, yeah, so I just wanted to pop in and, kind of promote the Great Cyclopean a little bit. And as I was saying, it is a series that has been around for some time now. It's a 12 issue series. The Great Cyclopean will be ending on the 12th series. We're kind of excited about that, to be honest with you.
hmm,
But he is a big, lovable guy. He's got some cool powers. He is disabled if you wanted to look at the fact that he can't speak and he can't hear, but he's not. If you know what I mean, he's still very much a superhero. He
hmm,
doesn't like guns. He doesn't like a lot of violence, but he will use them when he needs to.
hmm,
And adding this character, I equals some, kind of takes Cyclopean at a different level. So uh, check it out. Let us know what you think. Um,
hmm,
and yeah, I mean, basically, obviously, I'm biased, but I love the storyline.
hmm.
Um, I love the character. He's very funny. He's very quirky. Um, and
Actually, and one more little thing you might want to, because I did see a video of Ethan's recently where I guess they cut out a portion where they were highlighting where you were coming on to promote the Great Cyclopean. The only thing was that Ethan was mispronouncing it. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did. I was watching it, and I thought it was quite funny. I know that when I see the word cyclopean, I've never heard it pronounced cyclopean.
Well, probably because people are seeing the Cyclop part, because that's how it's actually pronounced, Cyclops. But
Right.
when you add the IAN,
Mm-hmm.
you would obviously you would change it from the short O sound to the long O sound.
Right.
So going from A to O, so Cyclopean.
He did not pick up on that, which I was surprised, but it's okay. That's all right.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of people don't pick up on that stuff these days. I mean, just start watching my shows more regularly particularly when I'm doing the niche newscast. Okay, and I'm like reading over some of those articles.
Yep.
And you'll see just how much in terms of people's understanding of grammar and vocabulary these days, as compared to, of course, older literature that we've read recently, of course.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, unfortunately, the art of conversation has kind of degraded over the years, unfortunately, because I mean, you heard me talk about this too a lot, where we have a society right now where people, in fact, it's kind of funny because they, in one of the articles I did a couple weeks ago, they had talked a little bit about it. It was in one of the localizing articles I was doing, right? And I guess Jamie Markey, who's a voice actress with Funimation, now Crunchyroll, and she was also a script writer for them, script adapter for them. She acknowledged to making Panty and Stocking, this particular anime, like just a swear fest. It's like, and you've heard me talk about those people who it's like either every other word or 2 out of every 3 words they gotta swear in order to make their point. It's like right. And apparently when she did the dub script for this, she decided to do this, and everybody was all over her for it. And her response was, well, people just become so desensitized to it that it's that that doesn't really matter anymore. And of course, my response to that when I saw that was, but is that really a good thing?
Right.
Is it really a good thing to be desensitized to the fact, to be decent? In fact, Rick and I had a debate on it a couple weeks ago as well on here over it. Just, it's like, I'm of the old school nature of, when you swear a lot, you tend to show your ignorance.
Well, I agree. If you can only come up with colorful words to describe what you're saying or your anger, yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not impressed by guys that can drop an F bomb or a C word or this and that. And it's like, what point are you trying to make? I agree with that. I think that
I understand that in the heat of the moment. I understand the heat of the moment. I mean, even I've done it. Something happens, you drop a hammer on your foot, or you bump your head in a wall or something like that, and you're at that moment you're not thinking, and it's natural to like bleep bleep but in just normal conversation to just sit there. I mean, could you imagine okay, now I'm sure you've seen some TV or cartoon shows before where they've had kind of the censor button in essence.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was about to say a color, as you said, a colorful word.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear beep or bleep,
Yep.
right? Could you imagine if real life was like that? You're having a conversation with somebody like that. It's like imagine something like this, like, yeah, she's so bleep. I'm gonna go bleep her because she's so bleep 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 bleep, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's such a bleep. Can you imagine that? Just how ridiculous that would be,
Mm-hmm. Hey,
right?
what if it was a comic book, and instead of putting the actual colorful word, they did like expletives, where they put like the exclamation and asterisk and all that through the whole comic book. That would be not fun to read.
Yeah. Yeah. Interjections. Hallelujah. 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 You know what that's from?
No.
That's actually one of the songs from Schoolhouse Rock. Interjections.
Wow. All right. I never watched that, believe it or not.
Hmm.
I'm such a weirdo. I never watched a lot of TV
Hmm.
when I was growing up. I'm not I mean, I'll watch it and stuff, but I didn't have like I think my favorite show was like the Brady Bunch, as weird as that sounds when I was a kid. I watched that.
I don't know why you would think that would be weird. I mean, like I watched the Brady Bunch. Now granted, I was growing in the '80s, but Brady Bunch, like a lot of those, comedies and dramas of the '60s and '70s were in syndication by that point in the
Mhm,
'80s there.
mhm,
So they were um, when we'd have vacations in school like spring break or summer vacation or whatever, you'd have your cartoons on from, let's say, 5:30 to 9, and from like 9 to 3 usually you'd have a mix of on some the networks would have, of course, the game shows and the soap operas, but the independent stations you know would have like they would get the syndicate the broadcast syndication of certain shows. So you might in the mid morning there you might get to watch some like Brady Bunch, Alice, Gilligan's Island, that kind of thing, MASH, whatever.
I
Um,
watched it. It came out I think in 1969, maybe 60
okay.
something. And
So you watched it when it originally came out then?
yeah. I'm much older than most of the people realize. So I watched it and I remember coming home and it would come on and I would sit and watch it and I always wanted to be Marsha, of course. Most guys wanted to be, Peter or Greg or something like that. But it was a fun show and I remember um wishing like my life looked like that. Of course it never would because
A lot of
it's
people do. That's the whole thing about like a lot of the TV comedies of those time period. It's like those, and that's we talk a lot about it with the comics too. That
mhm,
whole sense of escapism, right?
right. Right.
TV back then did
Mhm.
provide a lot of that escapism.
Right.
Um,
And it was wholesome for the most part. It was wholesome. Nowadays, not so much. Nowadays, I work with children in an elementary school. Have you ever heard of Fast Night at Freddy's or Fast Night or something with Freddy's? Was it Fast Night at Freddy's? It's a game. And it's a game about murdering. Um, and
oh,
I have
it's probably based on Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. Let
Yeah,
me guess.
I think so. Five Night. It's Five Night. Oh my God. I can't even speak. Five Night at Freddy's. And it is a game based on murder. And yes, I believe it is based on Michael Kruger, I think it is. Yeah. Um, and I have kids like in second grade, third grade that are reading the graphic novel of Fast Night at Freddy's and I don't know. I mean, I just think that the kids today, the younger children today in elementary school level are exposed to a lot more than I ever was.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost have to argue that that's been going on for the last 30 years or so that kids are getting, I mean, and throughout my adult, I live, okay, I live across the street from a middle school. It used to be an
Okay.
elementary school. I actually went there 1 year, before, my 7th grade year, because I was going to another school that was,
Right.
a special needs, well, they had a special needs unit, basically, special education unit. Okay,
Mhm.
so when I was mainstream 1 year, I went to the school that was across the street from me.
Yeah.
And I've had over the last 30 years, I've had occasions where kids have made completely inappropriate comments towards me.
Oh, I'm sure.
You
I'm
know,
sure kids are mean.
I've literally had some of them actually literally. I've had one or two of them, tell me they wanted. Let's see. I guess the most euphemistic way to put it, they wanted to be with me. If you get what I mean.
Oh, my,
Albeit they used more crass language.
oh dear Lord, Mike. Well, maybe they found you handsome, but still, I'm
Well,
sure.
I even commented to one of them. I go, don't you think I'm just a little old for you?
That's too funny. Yeah, kids today are much more advanced than when I don't know how old you are then, but when I was growing up too. Um, I feel like, and many of the children that I work with, their innocence has been, um, I guess, shaded. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting to listen to that. So when I found this little first grader, their favorite character was Fast Night at Freddy's, and it really is it's about these demonic looking kind of characters that steal children, and like it's not good. It's not a good thing. If you get a chance, look it up. Fast Night at Freddy's, and it's more for like the middle school crowd
Uh
where
huh.
they have the cognitive ability to understand like, okay, this is just some weird, this isn't going to happen. But the younger kids that I deal with, whenever they talk about it, I'm like, yep, Miss Diana does not talk about that. It makes her have nightmares. That's what I tell them. Like, it makes me have a nightmare. I don't talk about that. I don't care that it's make believe. We don't need to talk about that. Let's move on to something different. You
Yeah.
Um, but the
Well,
whole
I mean,
Mhm.
and again, there's a lot of, you know that's the thing too. Like, I'm gonna take a wild guess here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm gonna take a wild guess that a lot of these kids that you're dealing with, that you're teaching, are coming from either single parent homes
Uh-huh.
or non or well pretty much non-traditional family units, right? Single parent
Yes,
homes, or maybe like,
yes,
more quote unquote progressive families, you know.
yeah, they're very different. They don't have the same, like for instance, when I came home from school, when I was in elementary, and even, oh my gosh, even like middle school and high school, my mom was around.
Mhm.
I had certain things that I could not do during the school week. I was not allowed to park myself in front of the TV. We didn't have internet back then. I had to do something. I had to get my chores done, do my homework, and then if I wanted, I could go out with a friend. But I had to be home by, like 5 o'clock. Like I had these really strict rules, but they weren't really strict. They were just like, this is what you're supposed to be listening to. Nowadays, the kids in our school have so much access to like the internet, unsupervised internet at home. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And both parents are working. When I grew up, my mom was.
And it can be dangerous too, because we've seen several stories over the years, and they've even played them out on TV
Mhm.
shows like Degrassi Junior High, where the kids, if they're just interacting with just people on the internet, stuff you know stuff can happen. One of the other aspects too, as I was telling you, I have a school that's across the street from me here, right? A middle school. And
Yep.
something, and sometimes the kids will try to talk to me, during school hours. I try not to respond, because I don't want to encourage the behavior, because what I would try to do, what I'd want them to understand is that gate it's a separation of two worlds. I'm on one side of the fence. I'm in one world. They're on the other side of the fence. They're in another world. The two worlds are not to meet. And I often have had these conversations with the teachers and parents about it. Hey, look, you got to remind these kids that they can't be talking, because I'm obviously not going to do anything, obviously.
Right.
But the next person they decide to talk to that isn't me may have some bad intentions, if you get what I mean.
Exactly.
It's
You know,
like I try not to encourage it. I mean, granted, sometimes I have to catch myself, because I sometimes I'll like fun. Usually they'll say hi, or they'll start laughing, or like, hey, it's like because they think it's funny. They
right.
think it's funny, but then it's not going to be funny. If they start talking to somebody, they get to know somebody, and then that somebody decides to take advantage of them, and then
Mhm.
it's not going to be so funny.
Exactly. And how would they be talking to you if they're in school?
Well, usually it's when they're like in their PE class and they're like having to. So usually in their PE class, one of the things they do is they like will be walking or running around, around the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of more of a pretty open space. They'll talk to me through the gate there
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and I just won't respond, and even and I even and granted, sometimes the teachers will say hi to me too, and I'll and I try not to, like, again, because I don't want to encourage the behavior. I don't want to
Right. And
encourage
you don't want to, you're a guy that's out probably taking, I'm assuming you're taking a walk, or you're just getting out for fresh air.
Yeah, usually I'm like going up to the store.
Yeah, you're out and about, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and but that's good that you don't encourage them, because you never know what might happen. They may say, "Hey, this guy said this," or he propositioned me, or you never know. Kids today, I'm telling you, they're very smart,
yeah.
very crafty. We got really side railed. Oh my gosh, how did we do that?
You mean sidetracked?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, but that's something though, Diana.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I hope with these panel shows. Not as much sidetracked in terms of Usually, I do want to try to keep it generally to like the neat stuff like anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling. But obviously, youth culture is part of that too, because it's like like particularly like with you, right? Because I know what you're talking about, because you said you work with kids. I know you and Chris have that after school program. I guess you guys do with the
Yeah,
kids.
we do. Uh-huh.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that?
All right. So like you said, Chris and I both work at an elementary school. He is a tech person, so he takes care of all the technology and
Mm-hmm.
computers, Googles, and stuff like that, all that stuff. And I am an OT, so I work with kids for fine motor, visual motor, visual perception, all that stuff.
Oh, you're an occupational therapist.
Yep.
Okay.
And so we decided, Chris and I were talking, and we really want to get children reading again. We want kids to read comics, graphic novels, which a lot of them do. And so we saw this opportunity to offer a comic creator club, not a comic book club. We're not like looking at comic books there. We wanted the kids to come up with their own story, their own art.
Hmm.
So this is our second session. The first session we had 24 kids, which was way too large. Oh my God, it was crazy. And many of the kids that came in our first session, they just wanted Chris to print out pictures so they could color them or trace them or whatever. And I'm like, nope, that's not what this group is all about. This is about learning the art of comic book writing and drawing. So we got through the first session. Now the second session just started 3 weeks ago. We only have 11 kids. And right now I'm so excited because we have brainstormed with the kids, because of course they're third and fourth graders. So they do need a lot of help with the story. I mean, they're great with their characters. They all have wonderful imaginations. They're drawing them. Chris was able to get enough iPads and pencils for them to start doing some digital drawing. And they're loving it. And this past Thursday, we have it on Thursday night, 3 to 4. They came up with a wonderful story about our elementary school turning into a robot, and each classroom had a
Ah,
different portal. And the healing station, of course, was the nurse's office. So we are working out, we're doing kind of a preliminary storyline where the elementary school is going to be a robot. And we're working on, like, okay, who's the villain? Who are the good guys? Whose character is going to fill this role and that role? And it's a lot of conversation. I don't know if you're familiar with Google, but our school district uses Google and Google Classroom, which is all HIPAA certified and whatnot. So the kids we created a classroom for the Comic Creator Club. And in that classroom, Chris and I can put like prompts for the kids. Or give them, like, Chris will take like one of their little sketches and he'll redo it because he can obviously see as an artist. You can look at it and say, oh, is this what you meant? And he puts it so that he videos what he's doing and the kids love it. And I will say, okay, so we have the main direction we're moving in is that the school is going to be this huge robot. Now what are we going to do? And then the kids are like responding, let's try this, and I have a monster, and let's do this. So all in all, it's a very cool collaboration with third and fourth graders. At the end of the school year, we will have an actual comic book with everybody who is in the club at the moment or at the time. They'll all get credit. We are going to put it. We're going to actually create it under the Hero Shack Press name, and then offer it to their families free of charge, of course. And just let the school know, hey, this is what our students did. So it's very exciting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're third, fourth graders, you said?
Yes.
All right, because well, that might be a little too young then for what I was going to suggest, because um, if you watch, I know I've had you on as co-host before for the historical comic retrospect, and if
Mm-hmm.
you've watched it enough times, I would think that if you had wanted to, but again, the, because of some of the material we do in the kids might be a little too young for this particular set of materials, but I would, of course, encourage you to see, maybe, if you wanted to use it yourself as a teaching tool, if you want to watch more of the historical comic retrospect episodes, and then you can, like, use them for teaching materials as well. Hey, look, this is how they did some of this back then. This is how they drew stuff back then. This is how they put stories together back then. Just as a teaching tool, if you want to use that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. I can talk to Chris about it. And we can.
I'm just thinking the only downside though is that back then some of the comic material could get pretty mature at times.
Mhm.
There was no outright nudity or anything like that, but there was, like,
Right.
particularly in the golden age there was a lot of, like, for example, a lot of mafia stuff, so a lot of
Yeah,
shoot 'em
but
up.
you know what, Mike? Have you seen what kids are looking at and playing today? That's probably not even going to be a big deal. I like the idea of showing them, and I do remember we did a teaching on that comics have been around for a long time. Even cavemen did comics.
Mhm. Yeah. Hey, so J.R. Exner's here, the Elk of Antioch, what do you call him sometimes? Hello, Rick. How are you doing? Hey, yeah. So, wanted to just say hi to him. I know I didn't get a chance earlier, but again, if if you want to go back, watch some of the stuff we've covered in the historical comic retrospect, you want to use that for teaching material, feel free
Yeah,
to do so. Just be aware that some of it may be a little mature at times. So,
right. So
um,
listen, it's 9 o'clock. It's a little after 9. I do have to get ready for tomorrow. I did want to stop in and say hi.
well,
And
thank you for doing that. Something with the fact that it looks like I think you're the only one I had in tonight, and that if you're going to be leaving here. Oh, Mike, you need a hey, Batgoat. Long time no see, old friend. How are you doing? um, I know I put the link up in the chat earlier. If you want to pop into the studio here, this is our panel. So that goat was actually the before I did the rotating co-host, Diana. That goat was my regular co-host on the historical
Nice.
comic book. Yeah.
Very cool. Very
So,
cool.
but
Mm.
anyways,
All right. Well, I'm going to head out, Mike. Thank you so
all
much
right.
for the opportunity. And you take care, bud. And
Yeah,
we'll
all
catch
right.
you soon. All right.
Thanks for popping in, Diana.
Absolutely. God bless.
All right,
Bye.
bye. All right. Hey, Betsy. I'm good. I'll be back soon. Well, I hope you will, Batgoat. Yeah, I missed having you on. Miss having hearing your commentary on some of the stuff we talk about. So, well, hopefully you're doing well. But anyways, as it seems that things are a little bit busy tonight. I think I'm gonna wrap up a little early here. Normally, I try to push this to 2 hours, but as we don't seem to have many people coming in tonight, I think I'm gonna start to wrap this up here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and gonna probably do the this day or this weekend in Nietzsche history, and then we will probably close things out a little early tonight. So, anyways, with that, today, of course, is Sunday. Sunday, February the 4th, 2024. Why don't we go ahead and take a look back at this day, or this weekend, rather, Nietzsche history. History! Let me just. All right. All right. So with that, so first off, we're gonna head back to yesterday. So first off, we're gonna head back 25 years ago yesterday. As on yesterday's date, back in 1999, the first issue of Planetary from DC's Wildstorm imprint went on sale on yesterday's date back in 1999. Sold for $2.50, 32 pages. Story was all over the world, written by Warren Ellis, with art by John Cassidy, lettering done by Bill O'Neill, and coloring done by Laura Dupuy Martin. So 25 years ago yesterday, first issue of Planetary from DC's Wildstorm imprint. It's published. So now, moving on to 10 years ago yesterday, on yesterday's date, 10 years ago yesterday, 10 years ago yesterday, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the CenturyLink Center in Omaha, Nebraska. Main event saw Daniel Bryan defeat Randy Orton. Naomi defeated Oksana. The Wyatt family of Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper defeated the three men of Dolph Ziggler and Truth and R-Truth and Xavier Woods. The New Age Outlaws defeated the Brotherhood in a steel cage match to retain the WWE Tag Team titles. So the Brotherhood being Goldust and Cody Rhodes. And the show opened up with the Shield of Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins defeating Big E Langston, Kofi Kingston, and Rey Mysterio. So there we go with that. And now we're moving on to today's date. And of course, first off, I'd like to wish a happy 70th birthday to Japanese voice actor Shigeru Shiba. He would, of course, provide the Japanese voices for Yoshihiro Kira in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable. Megami in Urusei Yatsura. Kazuma Kuwabara. It was Kuwabara's voice in Yu Yu Hakusho. Raditz and Garlic Jr. in Dragon Ball Z. Buggy the Clown in One Piece. These, of course, are the Japanese voice. Don Kanoji in Bleach. The narrator in Fist of the North Star. He's also the Japanese dub voice for Beast in X-Men, Discord in My Little Pony, and Megatron in the Transformers franchise. So happy 70th birthday to Japanese actor and voice actor Shigeru Chiba. All right, and now finally the last piece of niche history. On this date 50 years ago today, voice actor, announcer, radio and TV producer Stuart Buchanan passed away at the age of 79. He was about a month and a half away from his 80th birthday. Stuart Buchanan was a voice actor known for his work with Walt Disney Company, casting director and voicing the Huntsman in the animated film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937. He also voiced Goofy in the Mickey Mouse Theater of the Air. So, on this date, 50 years ago today, Stuart Buchanan, the voice of the Huntsman in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, passed away at the age of 79. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I know we went a little short tonight, but things were kind of going slow. So, but with that, we'll be back here with more niche news tomorrow, of course. Also, this Friday we will have Tim Olson on with me, as we'll be continuing our look through January 1940. January 1940, as we're going through the historical comic retrospect, we'll be focusing in on novelty books that went on sale. Press, I believe we'll be doing Target Volume 1, Issue 2 this Friday. So until tomorrow, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow and throughout. So until tomorrow, bye.